Hey, what's up, Acers? It's Bryce. In this video, I'd like to talk about my definition of true freedom. In the world, I believe that there is no true freedom of peace, religion, thought, living, acceptance, belief, cultural differences, happiness, and expression. There's no true freedom of peace because nations are at war with other nations, and it feels ridiculous because we just keep fighting, and we're not really getting anywhere. And also, rape and murder are occurring more often. There's no true freedom of religion because people like to shove religion down other people's throats and think it's okay to try to make them believe in a religion against the other person's will. There's no true freedom of thinking. Now, I don't know if you know what free thought is, though. It's going back to perspective and diversity and just being different. And I think that we could introduce a lot of new ideas that are very good for our country and government, and we're all just a little bit open-minded, and President Obama and the White House and Congress would listen to us a little bit more and, be more open-minded about what we have to say about our country. There's no true freedom of living. Everyone thinks you have to be a certain way or you're not cool, such as having money over being happy. There's no true freedom of acceptance. People think that just because you're not normal, you're not cool. Well, guess what, guys? None of us are normal. I believe that we are equal, but different. White men and black men should be equal, but they are different in many ways, not just as far as race is concerned, but as far as people are concerned. I believe people were differently created by God, and that's the way it was meant to be. If we were all the same, the world would be a very boring place, and there wouldn't be enough diversity to get enough thoughts and ideas and enough cultural differences around to spread different ideas and thoughts around in the world. There's no true freedom of belief because people can't help what their parents believe and what their parents have taught them to believe. There's no true freedom of cultural differences. 80s music is like out the window. You only hear it in certain radio stations, and now pop and techno is like the norm. And also, if you're not a twerker or you're not a partier, then you're not cool. You know, you can't do old dance moves, or otherwise you're gonna look unnormal. It's gonna look unnatural in a big crowd of people. There's no true freedom of happiness. People are becoming more stressed as the world advances and technology advances in the world, as well as the world starting to get more complicated with different issues. Once again, going back to technology advancing and a bunch of advances in education and stuff like that. There's no true freedom of expression because every little expression a person makes, someone's going to judge them for. And guys, God made us not for that. He made us so that we could give and not take away from people, but rather give of ourselves and give the love of Christ to people. I believe that's what he meant by that. And also that in this country we're giving our tax dollars to people that don't. They just take everything. They take our tax dollars. They're just doing drugs, and they're not being educated, and I think it's really bad that those people can't find better lives. And if you're listening to this right now and you're one of those people, just keep in mind you can strive for a better life, but you have to believe in it and you have to want that change. So what do you think? Does true freedom really exist? Leave your comment in the comment section below. Don't forget to comment, like, and don't forget to subscribe.
All right. What an intro. That was good. All right. What an intro to get us kicked off into this topic today. All right. Sitting with me today, Miss Debbie, Mr. Ricky Rick.
Hi.
How y'all doing?
Good to be back.
All right. In the world today of all the turmoil that's going on, thought best for this topic, and it's not just because of the stuff that's just happening, because stuff has been happening a long time. Yes. This topic is called The Truth About Freedom. The Truth About Freedom. And when we talk about freedom, we always be talking about, fighting for freedom. I want to be free. When we were kids, we were like, I want to get away from my parents and be free. And be on my own. We always talking about freedom. And I guess this gentleman opened it up with his view of asking that question, does true freedom really exist? I'm not saying that whether I do or not agree with everything he said, but I think he has some pretty good points.
Yeah,
Yes,
he,
he does.
yeah. He has some really good points.
Yeah.
I mean, and that becomes a personal question.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for each one of us sitting here, and for those that are listening, what do you think? You know, true freedom, does it really exist? And we could see the young man, he laid out, you know, a couple of aspects,
Mm-hmm.
and as to where, you know, can you say that freedom really does exist, like in religion, like in acceptance, like in other things? You know, do you have the freedom to be who you are? Do you have the freedom to believe what you want to believe? You know, or is there, you know, somebody else, is something going to be kicking against the grain for you when you say, does freedom really exist? And if you look at, I mean, I don't want to just go all deep, you know, right now, you know, but if we go back through the history, you know, and it's not, you know, just for one or two races, I'm saying, but I'm just looking at the relationship between African Americans and Caucasians. If you look at the history, the volatile history of that, you know, and for us, I'm sure it's a lot of, you know, and I'm not putting words into anyone's mouth. I'm just saying, for the average African American, you can say for the most part, you would say for the most part, then, I mean, you know, that freedom thing, you know, I have to think about that in a great scheme of it.
I know. We chant that freedom reign, freedom reign, let freedom reign. I hear it so much, but I often question. I think today's society, modern society, especially where the African American, Negro, or blacks, whichever one you want to call yourself, they give us all these options, but in today's society, in that particular environment, many of the African American society have come to think, perceive, or have a perception that they are living in a life of freedom because they have seen, they're living in a nice house. You have some of them making top dollar more than their Caucasian counterparts, and or even living just like or better than many of their Caucasian counterparts. Whereas the stereotype in the former decades was that the African American society didn't measure up to have the luxuries and afford those accommodations as the Caucasian society. So now that many have come up, and some of them think they're actually living freedom.
Okay.
Yeah, and we've seen a lot of things happening on our streets. I think that tend to depict that the real truth about where we are with freedom is probably not where it's at. What do you have to say about Ricky Rick?
Yeah.
Well, I think freedom is not based on something you can touch or see. I think freedom is a spiritual aspect of who you are and what you yourself are capable of understanding and enduring. For instance, biblically it tells me that you must understand where you are culturally. And I'll use America as an example. I know the Bible tells me, and its secrets in its word, that I know that I'm always going to be under the white man. I'm always going to be less than the white man. But does that take my freedom away, or does that give me more freedom? Where if I accept that there's going to be slaves, and even the Hebrews are slaves, And just because I'm a slave, it doesn't take my freedom away. What take my freedom away if I rebel against the slavery that's put upon me and let it take my joy, my inner joy for me, and my hope. So for me, freedom is not, and I'm gonna say this to the viewers, to the listeners. I'm not that high on the flag, what it represents. I'm not that high on the symbol of that freedom ring, and I'm not a patriot. What I am a man who strives to be as good as he can every day, and I live according to the Word of God. And there's no flag in the Bible. There's no patriotism in the Bible. There's God, the Lord, and the Holy Spirit. So what I do is, what my understanding of freedom is I have the freedom to decide to be happy if I want to, or to be sad. I have the freedom to go to whichever gas station I want to go to. I have the freedom to choose what I want to eat. All right. Things that I can control. Now, if someone comes in and takes that, which I call freedom, away from me, then at this time you would say, you have no more freedom. But yes, I do. I still get up and I breathe and I think and I act within myself. And if I do it correctly, I can learn that what you think you took away from this freedom really is good, because now I can let my mind, which we use only 10% of our brain, find something else that I might like. Like for instance, and I'll stop here in a minute, like for instance, when we start eating pig feet and hog maws and chili and all that. See, the Caucasian thought that was the most defiled part of the animal that was possible.
Yes.
Because, see, they took the freedom of other things from us. We had to go to the back door. We had to do things. So, did we not have freedom in slavery? Yes, we did. We were strong enough to find something else that would give us joy and to fill us. And then when they found out that it was good, they took that. So then we adjusted again. So my theme is, freedom is an individual thing, and you determine what it is and how you let it be, how you let it attain your life. So freedom to me is a self-indulgent, hopeful thing that you have to do individually. And you can't connect it to being a worldly thing or a racial thing. Okay. Because 9 times out of 10, the person that conflicts slavery on you, somebody in that family don't want to do that. So do they have freedom because they're white and they conflict with slavery? They just like I am. But they have to make a choice to say, well, I don't have to think or feel that way. I can still help out a little bit over here. And that's why I stand on that. Freedom, there is freedom. To his question, do we think there's freedom? Yes, I do. But freedom is in the spiritual man and the inner man that Paul speaks of. And freedom is living in the world, but not of the world. I think if you live of the world, you're going to give up some freedoms. But if you live in it, just do what you need to do in it, and then stay content with the Word of God and being happy and joyful, then you never lose your freedom. I know I said a lot, I apologize, but that I think you never lose. Freedom is possible. But it's only possible in you, not in the outward of you. Because when you start making the outward of you, then the next white police I see, guests and people that are listening in, I may let the flesh cause me to do something I shouldn't want to do. Because now I'm living my spiritual outwardly. I'm taking what everybody else say, progressing it and getting angry. So then I go out and I kill a cop and I lose my freedom. But if I don't let what outwardly affect me inwardly, I don't do that act, and I still have my freedom.
Okay. So when you talk about it being not an outward show, physical, but a spiritual.
Yes.
Okay. And now we understand that.
Right.
Okay. But for the listeners that are not there
Right.
at that point, can you explain to us, Rick, about the freedom that this young man is talking about when you talk about freedom of speech, freedom to dress, freedom to go wherever you want to go and not be harassed, that kind of freedom? What do you think
Well,
about that?
what I feel about that freedom is say for instance, I go to a restaurant and they refuse to serve me because I'm black. Well, does that really take my freedom away?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I can get angry and I can rebel, bust the window out, or get out in front of that restaurant and protest. And then one day, down the road, they let somebody black in that restaurant. Did I really accomplish anything in what I feel is my freedom? Or did I tie up myself with all this mess and just should have went to a restaurant that I knew I could eat in the first place?
Mm-hmm.
So to the viewers I say, first of all, you have to be able to understand the importance of what it is you think is freedom, and it's what extent will you go to achieve that worldly freedom, and it still not warn you anything. Because if they let me come in that restaurant and eat, when I get up, I'm not going to feel any better. I'm going to still have a feeling of not being wanted, being slighted. So did I really get freedom? But the freedom is when I said, okay, if you don't want me in any restaurant, I'll go somewhere else. Now you got freedom because you made a choice on top of them denying you.
Mm-hmm.
See, freedom is being able to make a free will, a free choice that God gives us to serve Him or not.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you choose not to serve Him, people, God don't harass you.
That's right.
So that's freedom God gives you.
Yeah.
So that's the way the Holy Spirit has allowed me to explain that.
That's
Freedom
right.
is what you decide to do that's good for you and not what others are doing or how others impact you. With freedom is.
And now that you said it, Rick, I want to believe that's why Dr. King's movement was so powerful, was as powerful as it was, is because he made that choice, to be nonviolent in whatever situation, whatever his house being bombed, the church being bombed in the fort. He always took a stand to be nonviolent, and for a long time, and even for me, I have to be the first to say, for a minute, I was like, what kind of man was this?
A man with freedom.
Oh, okay. But I understand now.
Now, yeah.
I understand now. But before I was like, and some horrendous things were happening to him, to his family, to the, to the movement and everything. But he still remained, at a certain, we're going to do this thing non-violently. No matter how violent they are toward us, we're going to do it non-violently. And you got to be some kind of, and I understand Dr. King, now, but even sometimes when I think about the movement, and not only his movement, but you think about the movements that are happening now in the city of Detroit, there is there's an organization called the New Detroit Era, and they're borderline, the movement that Dr. King, but a little bit more militant. I'm not saying they're violent, but I'm just saying, yes.
Dr. King was never aggressive.
No, he was never aggressive.
But one time, and I'll explain that later, he was aggressive.
Okay.
When I shared Jeffrey comply with it.
Okay, come on, Rick.
Okay. When he was it in Selma where he was crossing the bridge, Jeffrey, when he did the march, and the people got all beat up and battered. Well, when Martin Luther King did that march, and he seemed the horrific, detrimental pain and agony, and just outright disrespect of the black people that day. Dogs being thrown and sprayed and beat and just whipped. Martin Luther King went back inside himself, and he had to really think about what is it that I'm doing. Then they came up again and they wanted to do another march over the same bridge, same place. Martin Luther King prayed and thought about it, and he changed his mind. He said, I can't do this. I'm not going to do that. I can't do that. And they was why. He said, I just can't do that. Well, I'm going to explain to you, listeners, why Martin Luther King felt that. Because Martin Luther King was like, am I doing this to represent my freedom, or am I doing it to represent theirs? Are they ready to die for what God has given me, like I'm ready to die? Or am I pulling them in my desire for God and the freedom of the people? He said, I cannot do that to these people because this is what God's telling me to do. If anything, maybe I should go out there and march across this bridge by myself. But he knew at that point he would not be effective because it was the mass multitude of people that loved him and followed him that the government was distraught about. But in the end, he decided to do it anyway. The second march, he decided to do it. And again, everybody was slaughtered, beaten, things like that. But what he found out when he did the second time, because he chose not to do it, people start saying, I'm going to do it no matter what. I want to do it no matter what happens. This is my choice, okay? This is what I choose to do. So because he got such an outpour of their freedom of choosing what they wanted to do, now he felt admirable enough to carry on this march. Again, freedom comes in what you decide to do, which is good. And most times you choose to do something good, there is a recompense from the world and the flesh against you. They're gonna. The Bible says, and I know I'm going to scripture a lot today, listeners. Jesus says in John chapter 16 that there are going to be some kill you and believe that they're doing God right by killing you.
That's right.
So knowing that, you got to understand, is my freedom worth going up against the police and what's going on? Or should I stay silent in it and pray and be peaceful in that way? Either way, what you decide to do is freedom. If I go out and kill a man, now I'm getting deep. I still have freedom. I don't lose my freedom because I still have the freedom of choice to kill that guy. So yes, freedom is attainable. It's depending on what kind of freedom. Is it going to be a violent freedom or a just freedom? So you never lose freedom. Freedom just turns into something else. What do you think, Brother Jack?
Well, I'm going to throw some things out to our listeners and as well. I'm a little quite disturbed about how we as a people, and it's just not the African, especially the African American society, but not just the African American society. I say a people, I'm talking about all people. We tend to get so surprised, so shocked when, and I'm probably going to anger some people when I make these profound statements. So shocked when someone is killed or murdered unjustly, in other words, just as we've seen this past week. But it's not the only time. And we tend to, and we start yelling and yelling and chanting, no justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. Okay. And when I hear the no justice, no peace, okay, no peace to what? No peace for who? Because the ones that are doing the injustice, all right, from what I've seen, it seems like they're at peace.
That's right.
They're at peace. I mean, I'm just they're at peace. And the ones that seem like not having no peace is the ones chanting the no justice, no peace, right?
That's right.
And I'm just wondering, are we being afflicted by an unconscious thought, to say that we're not going to be at rest if there's no justice, okay? Well, I and I said, as I said earlier, I may anger some people with this profound statement that I'm getting ready to go into. I'm trying to set it up.
Okay.
Hopefully that it can like sneak its way in
Okay.
to creep its way into the thoughts of people.
Okay.
So that their minds will be a little broader by the time it actually the punchline hits. You know, because when we hear that, we see all these things going. All right, I there's something I've been wanting to really beseech many people of the cloak, ministers of the gospel, pastors, anyone who is a leader, a looked at leader of the teaching of the Word of God. And even my father, he's a pastor. But I beseech this to many. And one of the things that I've been noticing is that I keep hearing this statement: we need to come together. We need to get. I keep hearing the need to. This is what need, or if we can, or if. Well, I just want to say the need to has been an establishment, and it has been a statement since Cain and Abel. All right, let's just keep it real.
Right.
All right, it's been an establishment since Cain and Abel. We need to treat our brother well. Let's take it back to after Cain and Abel. Just look at y'all. I say this to church going folks. Okay. All right. Even non-church going folk know this information. They know this information. All right. All right. But when you look at the word church going folk, especially because they really supposedly claim they in their book, you do not see. I challenge anyone to give Jay a call. That I have not seen throughout from the first book to Revelation, from Genesis to Revelations, anywhere where there is a promise that this world that we live in, that we're breathing our air in and going about our daily business or whatever, that there's a promise that for this world to be better. Okay, all right. I'm not saying I'm doubtful. I'm saying was scripturally written. All right. What I do find is many statements that says the world is going to get worse. It's going to get worse progressively and intensively worse. Okay. As a matter of fact, you could go to Isaiah, go to Jeremiah. You could go to. Oh gosh, I could go to so many books. And even all the way to Revelations, and you will find over and over and over again instances or statements or examples of it saying that everything is going to be worse. As a matter of fact, it says it's going to be worse than ever in Sodom and Gomorrah. Sodom and Gomorrah going to think that they're just puppies compared to what this world is supposed to get to. Okay, so and every time no, don't get me wrong, public. I'm not saying that just when someone is killed wrongly or murdered, that's what it is. It's murder. All right. It doesn't matter by whose hands is, because we're not supposed to murder anybody. Okay. All right. And yes, we come upon the police because they have a badge, and we tend to fear quote the badge. All right, but that's supposed to recognize, I guess, as power. So we now are fearing power. But religious people, church folk, proclaimed Christians, this is an appeal to you all. We claim to not have what God says if we have them in, to not fear power. Okay. However, the truth is, we can make citizens arrests.
Yeah. Yeah.
If just because they're a cop, we can make a citizen's arrest
That's
on
a
a
law.
cop.
That's
That
a
is
law.
a law.
That's law. Yeah.
But we don't act on it. Because the fear of the
Fear
power of the
Fear
bad.
the power.
Fear of power.
Yeah.
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 You know, I mean, if it's that many witnesses that see
Yes.
a cop killing somebody, you can.
Yes.
You just because you got 2 cops and 100 folks.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Come on, Jeff.
Yeah.
All right. And just probably 50 cameras going at the same time. And today's technology.
Right.
Okay. I'm just saying some things that we just don't act on.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to get into some definitions here in a minute about freedom.
Okay.
But you know, you know, maybe I better go to the definition because it's going to help that punchline to get to. Okay, freedom is defined as, not what you feel it should be. Everything has a definite, authentic
definition,
meaning, and definition.
Yes,
okay,
yes, right.
And if you say it's anything else other than that, you are deceiving yourself, and you're not leaning on the truth. All right. Topic of the truth of this show is today is the truth about freedom. Okay. Freedom is defined as the condition of not being imprisoned or captivity. That's held against your will. That's held against your will. Okay. You know you can't you haven't made the choice to be in prison. You know, so the condition that you can make some choices that could put you in prison. But you know, the condition of being free of restraints, especially the ability to act without control or interference by another or by circumstance. You know, being free of restraints, being free to your ability to act without being controlled. Okay, you know, we find a lot of wives. We're gonna get into the relationship thing too, the couple relationship thing too, because we find there's a lot of people who are not free in their relationships.
That's true.
You know, they're in bondage. Which is another definition of not being free. But freedom is also the condition of not being controlled by another nation or political power or political independence. America is not free because we are controlled. Because even now, don't get me wrong. I love Obama. I'm gonna tell y'all. All right, I love Obama. It is my right to say that. Okay, I think he was, in my opinion, was the best president that's ever been in office. I mean, you have your right, whoever's listening, to have your say, whatever. I'm not saying he was perfect, because number one, there's no perfect person. All right, so he's going to make some mistakes, but I'm talking overall. In my belief, he had presented himself overall the best president. But he is not perfect, and he suffers from some bondages of what I just. He is not totally free in the control of this country, because America is under control of other political powers towards making some of the decisions that they make in politics. Okay,
that's true.
All right. So that, you know, is there true freedom there? Nope. The condition of being subject to a despotic or oppressive power or civil liberty. Okay. The condition of not being constrained or restricted in a specific aspect of life by a government or other power, which I basically kind of just explained a little bit. The condition of not being a slave. Now, you know, we think slaves are the people that just go out there on the cotton field, get whipped, shackled, and all that. But there are all different types of ways you can be a slave. All right, here's one. Women who are caught up in an abusive relationship, and you have been put in a condition that you better not even try to think of getting out, going nowhere, or you gonna get the beat down and all that. You're a slave to the conditions of your relationship. Some folk stay in relationships because with folk, and it could be terrible. The relationship could be terrible, but they stay there because of we got a nice car, we got this giant big mansion house, you know. I'm gonna stay in it for the kids. You have been enslaved.
That's right. That's true.
Against what your real free will is wanting to do. You have been enslaved. All right. And we, the brother who opened up with this, he mentioned something about religion, and that was so true. We can be enslaved even in church. Some people be talking about slaves in the spirit. Some people are slaves in the spirit, but it ain't God's spirit. No, it ain't. But they are slaved in the spirit. Slaved in the spirit. Slaved in the spirit. But it ain't God's spirit. Right? And I have seen some religions that oppress people, as to doing things in a traditional manner, which has nothing to do with the order of God or practices of God. But I'm just saying, I'm just telling some truths. It might hit hard, but I'm just saying. Okay, freedom is also the condition of not being bound by established convention or rules. Kind of like some, and I'm going to say this, when I was a kid, I used to hear this, and it was more in the Baptist community, more so than any. I'm not saying there are not other denominations, more so in the Baptist community, where they actually oppressed women. Oppressed women to say that they could not wear pants in the church. That ain't got nothing to do with a woman getting saved. All right, I'm gonna help some people who have not really studied the word. All right, and because if you're one of those people putting this down on this false teaching, you yourself are enslaved with false teaching. Okay, the truth is, go throughout your whole Bible, you won't see nothing about pants. And what it says, a woman shouldn't fashion herself in the adornment of a man. Okay, all right. Now I don't know where they I do know where they conjure up, but I'm just saying the person who started this and how it caught on so like catching a cold, and spread it throughout the religious, and it just became set. And just oppressed women, now because now they ain't free. No, they're not free. To wear pants if they want to. All right. They can't really feel the spirit of the Lord because they worried about their pants. Their pants. All right. Now, in the fashion of a man, let's go back. When that was written, you got to go back in time and compare things. When that was written, they didn't even have pants. No. So of course they weren't talking about pants. No. Everybody had robes. Everybody had robes. Yeah. Okay. Now, if you want to do the comparison, then you have to do it by item, word by word, illustration by illustration. Everybody had robes, but they had male robes, female robes. Okay. What made the difference was the colors that was woven into the robes. Okay. You know, and it made a lot of the difference. Or sometimes male robes had a certain types of belts that that held it together, that which were different than the female. Okay, but they were all robes. Okay, and when this time was going on, all right, now they have male and female pants.
Right.
Mhm.
And you can tell
You can tell
the difference
Yeah.
between a female pant and if a male puts on some female, you can tell that that male, that guy is wearing some female pants because the buttons on the way they shape and they fit on your body. All right,
V pants,
right.
pockets.
Come on now.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
Yes.
All right. I mean, we have to understand what that's really talking about. So we do, even in the religion, we oppress folk toward them not actually having freedom in the church. And I just, like I said, there's a lot of stuff that's not being taught right. That's why I'm beseeching. And another thing about not being taught and being to folk about this freedom thing. Yes, we have injustice, but we need to really teach folk. As I said, it is prophesied the world gonna get worse.
Yes.
It is also one of the signs that the second coming is near.
Right.
2 Timothy 3 says,
Right.
in the last days, all right,
Yeah.
that perilous is going, and it
Perilous.
describes all
Yeah,
this.
it does.
Perilous is a bird.
It
Very
describes
terrible
all this
time.
stuff, man.
Yes.
A
very terrible.
I'm,
time.
I'm here to tell you. When you talking about fighting, I'm not saying you don't stop petition for freedom or petition for justice. But I really know this is going to sound like a contradictory. It's not. You just have to have an understanding about the perception. I'm not saying don't stop petitioning for it. What I'm saying, have understanding while you're petitioning to know that biblically, the Bible says that if it's getting worse, that justice basically is not going to happen.
No.
It's not going to happen because everything is going to become worse. So that means if justice was at a certain level in the earlier days, it's worse in the nowadays, and it's going to even get worse in the future. All right. I'm just saying. That's prophecy. And look throughout the Bible. You tell me, anybody can share with me where in the Bible, and was there any parliament and any government that was not incorrupt, that was not corrupt, or was an incorruptible government. They were all straight. The government was not corrupt. The government has been corrupt since shortly after Cain and Abel, when they established, and
for a long time.
For a long time. For a long time.
Brother Jay, the Bible does say, it says that, I don't know if it falls under the corrupt or not, because biblically it doesn't get into the government aspect of Solomon. But it did say when Solomon reigned for 40 years, that was the most peace that it ever been on earth and will ever be. So that falls in line with you again. The ever be. So God made it clear there is not going to be any more peace like it was in Solomon's time. Now it didn't speak about government, but it did say Solomon, when he reigned, there was no wars, no nothing. There was peace. It didn't express freedom. It said peace. But after Solomon's reign, and in the intent of the one paragraph, it said, but there will be none like him ever. And that's what Jeffrey bases on too. So why do we perceive that we're supposed to have freedom or peace or anything else? Because God, the word says there will be none ever like it again. Ever. So the basis, and I won't call it a theory, I would call what you just spoke to as Jeffrey's factual. Because you have researched it, you have evidence to back it up, and therefore you spoke it. And I concur with you because I know a little bit biblical and a little bit about the world too, and everything you said was true. You know,
Yeah.
it's God never promised that we would have freedom or peace. He
Mm-hmm.
never promised that.
Yep.
He said, if you do this, you could have this. But he never said that it would be.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I want to, I was looking for if you got your phone while I share this, look up John chapter 1
All right.
from it. And I want to share some, but I want to say this, that Jesus said to Nicodemus after he had spoke this profound ministry about his, the wine represented his blood,
Mm-hmm.
and the bread represented his body. And Nicodemus said, Lord, they're going to drink your blood or eat your body? You know, this is a hard ministry. But see, and then most people don't even know that I'm bringing up. But I want to take you later, after Jesus went into his resting place, the place he was staying, Nicodemus came over. The scripture keeps reading after that. And Nicodemus came over to visit with the Lord to talk to him about this harsh ministry. And Jesus says something that I think that will ultimately explain freedom. He said to Nicodemus, he spoke to him about the wind first, that we follow ministries like the wind. We don't know which way it cometh or goes. And then he said this profound thing, Jay. He said, if I go out there, they will corrupt me too.
Mm-hmm.
So I choose to stay in here with my Father, where I have freedom to hear my Father, to be instructed by him. So Jesus said a profound statement there, being power and authority and being able to bring just as many angels as he want to at his call to save him or render him from harm's way. He said, I do not go out there because they're going to take my liberty and freedom from me too. They're going to, what's the word? They're going to influence me, my mind, you know. So I say that, again, how we attain freedom, how we keep freedom, is quit going out into the world, get caught up in all this mess. You know, let me ask you something. When they had any march in any one of these states, did those people that went out into the street to march, didn't they have a freedom of choice to do that or not?
They have freedom.
But then when they go out there and do that, and the police hit them up beside the head, you taking my freedom. Well, you have the freedom of choice not to go out there and march, to stay at the house and pray like the Bible teaches us to do. But you prefer to go out and do be a public nuisance, and that's what I think it is. You can call it marching, whatever. Be a public nuisance that you know is going to rile up the city, the police force, and then the minute they come in on you and attack you, you say they have taken my freedom of speech. No, they've not. What they've done, they subdued it a little bit. They don't take it. They subdued it a little bit. It may have been a whack up on the head or put the handcuffs in the car. You still spoke. You still got your opportunity to speak. So what the gentleman was saying about, do we have freedom of speech? Yes, we do. But sometimes, due to the conditions of everything getting out of hand, it's quenched. It's taken back some. But you never lose your freedom of speech. Now, you can get up in front of the judge and tell the judge what you think. And you can swear them and everything. But you can bet your bottom dollar you're going to get arrested. But you didn't lose your freedom of speech. See? But you're going to get arrested because he's going to say you disrespect the court, the law. You had your say, now you go to jail. So you never lose freedom of anything. What happens is freedom of whatever you're doing, depending on how you carry yourself and handle a thing, will be minimized. See, it will be minimized. See? The guy that got shot in the car with the young lady, he exhibited everything and did everything he was supposed to do. And he told the officer that he had a gun, he had a carry permit, everything. He did exactly what the law, because I know I got a lot of people at my work carry guns, says to do. You have to tell the officer that. Now, once he had his freedom of speech to tell the officer, then the officer chose not to value that freedom of speech for whatever reason and shoot the man. But just because he shot the man, we can't say that the black man don't have freedom. Because he did. He said exactly what he's supposed to do according to law. So freedom wasn't taken, life was taken, not freedom. Because the woman exclaimed, he told him that he had this. So she told us he was able to have his freedom to speak the truth, to tell what was going on. Now the officer just wasn't recipient of the truth. Or the freedom. See?
And you got to look, you know, in that case, you know, Rick, that one by far was the one that threw me for, you know, I mean, just shook me because that was the first time it had ever happened in that instance.
Right.
Because now, mind you, he wasn't the driver.
No.
He was the passenger.
Yeah.
Okay. So when they were stopped, they didn't talk to the driver, which
They
was the
talked
female.
to the passenger, the man.
Absolutely.
And what if Jeffrey taught us about how they turned the women against the male, and you know? So he went to the male. Well, go ahead.
And so in a case like that's why that case. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying all of the other incidents that has taken place. I'm not minimizing them by no means. Am I doing that? But because of that case, is what really lets you see how the injustice is just. I mean, because really, he wasn't even the driver.
No.
You're asking him for his license and registration.
Right.
Why?
Right.
And he's not the driver.
Because the officer probably at that time was trying to provoke.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of things behind that's very questionable, and you know, and the thing about it, I know not just the whole world is actually sitting. Like there have been other cases that were just clear cut, clear cut and dry, where you know, such as this. There was no reason the officer should have went to the passenger first, first, asking for license, when it should have been the driver first. Then you know, if you want to question, well, who are you over there? And you know, but you got to deal mainly. Your primary deal is with the driver.
Yes.
That didn't happen in that order. And so it was out of order in the first place, and then which wound up with a man, losing his life. But so you know, the question is, was this deceased man now a target? Because there's a lot of evidence that point to illustrate he was targeted. He was targeted because the officer went out completely out of line of duty, out of line of operation, and in order, and didn't do anything right, and went to this man. So that makes it really seem like he was targeted. And maybe more so, because the guy had the dread, had the braids and the plaits and all that, and so that could have presented stereotype, as what later many testimonies from the school, wonderful man, great with kids, help educating the kids and all that. So, but as the guy who gave the intro into this, as he was saying, just because the difference in the color of our skin, is there real true freedom, and how we deal with folk, how we judge folk. Yes, we're all different by our skin, but not as a people. We're all we're different in not only just our way we look, because Caucasians, like it or not, if there was this saying, and many folk understand what that phrase means, "Make America Great Again." it's an undertone to say make
Yeah.
America white again.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what we all
Yeah.
know what that
True.
undertone is.
That's what it means.
I mean, that even Caucasians know what that undertone means. I mean, those that don't even agree with it know what that. I mean, you ain't gotta be African American or Chinese or Mexican. We all know what that phrase means.
Make it white again.
Yeah, make it white
White
again.
is right.
Now,
Right
when
is
they
right.
say make it white, what they're really saying is make it pure white again. Now, the news flash for those who really chant that phrase and stand behind that phrase, or hoping for that phrase to be fulfilled, the news flash for that is that in the Caucasian, they have many shades
Yeah.
of what's called
Yeah.
pure white.
Uh-huh.
That's not blemished with a mix of blood from other cultures, but there's not what is called pure white. Okay? All right, it's not. It is really. We got to understand. It's not really exactly the skin tone.
Right.
All right, because there are different complexities of white. Okay, you got white. You got bright white.
Yeah.
You got clear white. You got
Off.
off white color. You got some that look like antique white.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
you got spotted white.
Right.
I mean, you know,
Olive white.
Yeah.
My second wife was white. She was olive white.
Yeah.
She had a
Olive white.
green tint to her skin.
Yeah.
Olive white.
Yeah.
That's what they call
Olive
it.
white.
Olive white.
So
she had something in her other than being white.
So you know, you know, we say a whole lot of stuff that tend to not, you know, and we're not just talking about the culture, because most of, you know, so far in the show we've been talking a lot about culture, and the wrongdoings and freedom and the injustice and all that. But you know, this goes all the way, you know, like I say, into relationship. It's in your church, in your religion. It goes all the way. You know, we can be oppressed by so many different things.
Right.
And like I said, you know, in your love relationships, your romance. You know what? I know this is like, but you know, Jay ain't scared, so
Don't be scared, Jay.
Yeah. Even in sexual situations, you know, is freedom oppressed in sexual? You know, you married. Now the Bible says the bed is not undefiled.
Right.
I mean, you know,
Being
hey, a husband and wife can be able to. As a matter of fact, the advice to husband and wife is that you're supposed to do everything to please each other. That's biblical advice. That's what it said. But you go to your wife and your husband, you know, honey, I feel like I'm in the mood. No, you can't. No, not
you can't.
Not
today. Not tonight.
Nah,
and I ain't doing that. I ain't doing that. You can go out and find somebody else to do it. And then when you do, you talk me to him.
Now we gonna get it to Abraham.
Right.
You told me to go get a Hagar. Now you gonna get mad? You told me to go get a Hagar. Because you want me to get with somebody that you wouldn't do, you couldn't do. So you told me.
Then you gonna get mad and want to kick her out and banish my son. Because the son looked bright and contentious to be something, and you thought that she was looking at me in love with instead of having baby with, whatever. You know, you start seeing things that wasn't there.
Yeah,
right. Because I don't think she was doing anything. Like, she just started seeing things that wasn't there after she put a curse on her husband. Because she cursed, man. She cursed the whole generation of the Jews. That's why you got Muslims now. Ishmael is Muslim. You know, Isaac is Jewish.
Yeah. And then you want to go bust the windows out of Hagar's car. When you invited Hagar in the first place, you want to go slash up Hagar's tires.
Yeah, it's a mess.
That's but Hagar wasn't all the way right either. That's why she got what she got.
Yeah.
She started getting a little beside herself.
She was being obedient at first.
Right, she was. But then she realized that thing, that's another show. We'll come back and cover that.
But I want to touch on something real quick that you're probably not aware of that was brought to my attention. And how this guy lost his freedom and why the officer did what he did. And apparently you're not aware of it because it didn't come up on this show. A couple of days before this incident, the guy was on Facebook with his gun saying that I'm going to kill a white officer. So you got to think, anything with the word on the internet, kill, and don't come and get me, FBI and police, kill, bomb, they monitor that. Like they just monitor me saying those two words. Okay?
Right. Yeah.
And Jay Shaw has been monitored because I said those two words. Now, when that officer came up to that car and up to that suspect, he had seen a picture, he had seen a video perhaps before he even left the station to go out and do his patrol, they spoke about this guy. They said there's a potential guy that we got on video that did a video saying that I'm going to kill me a white officer. So they got his face, they know what he looks like. So all of a sudden you got this officer that comes up to this car and he goes to this, that's the guy. That's the guy. So even though he said he had a gun and a gun permit, the young man gave up his freedom 3 days before that on a video on Facebook saying that I'm going to kill a white cop. And it's already been shown on the news, the video of him saying, I'm going to kill a white cop. So now we have to get a new perspective about this. We know there's violence, we know there's things going on, but see, the police department can't tell you everything they know about us because then we'll be mad at them. We'll think our freedom is lost. But the internet's free. But what you put on there, you need to be mindful because they monitor this thing.
Oh, sure.
2 or 3 days before that incident, he was on Facebook saying, I got a gun, a carry permit, and I'm going to kill me a cop. A white cop, he said. White cop. So, I mean, I'm not saying that warned him getting killed, but it didn't help him. It did not help him. It did not help him. My wife almost cried when she shared this with me yesterday. I was ministering to her, and she said, honey, I got to tell you something. And I said, honey, why are you crying? She said, let me tell you what he did, honey. She said, I'm up here trying to support him and support him from being killed by the white officer. Honey, he did a video 3 days before that saying he's going to kill a white cop. She said, that hurts. She said, and I went out here and represented this black male and supported the cause of him being shot, and then come to find out later, he brought it on himself. He brought it. See, let me tell you what these things do. These things get things to us so quick, we never find out the evidence. We never find out the whole story. So by the time we find out, this thing has destroyed the car, the system, our value system, freedom of speech and everything else. Because these things, let me tell you something. How in the world are you going to have that much charisma about you to say, and he shot him, and go like you're a news reporter, and he did this? Come on, people. I know I'm going off, but you have to look at some things. Why was she so what do you call it?
Calm. She was really calm about it.
She was acting like she was a news reporter.
Yeah, she was.
She was, and that disturbed me. I'm like, oh my God, she act like she's reporting the 5 o'clock news.
She was very
calm, very detailed. Almost to the point, audience, I thought, is this a setup? Is this a setup? Because she was too calm. Too calm. I mean, I don't know if anybody else saw that, and I'm not trying to defend either, because Jesus tells me to forgive 7 times 777 times. And that's what I try to do. And I don't condemn the man. I try to understand the spirit that induced the man, that took over the man. Because the Bible says to know the man, you have to understand the spirit. So I want to get that out as I brought this news back, and this information, and it disturbed my wife. My wife used his wife. She was in the full corner. She was in there with a towel, a bucket, cheering for justice for this young man, to find out he made a video like that 3 days before that. So what does that do for freedom, Jay?
Well, in regards to freedom, as we're talking about the real truth about freedom, and I just want to also piggyback off something you said, and it is true with to forgive. And I thought it was very amazing when that church in Charleston got fired upon, and how many were slain in there by the racists. That how many of them, not it wasn't all of them, let's just be honest, it wasn't all of them, but the majority of them who had lost family members and friends turned around and said they forgave. Now, one thing I do want to say about forgiveness is that forgiveness does not mean that you don't still take a stand.
Right.
Okay.
Right. That's right.
That's called retribution. You can come into my house and steal something from me, and I could forgive you, but I don't have to let you back in my house.
And I can make sure you go to jail for it.
I don't have to let you come back into my house. However, in the act of forgiveness, if I see you on the street, your car's broke down, because I forgave you, I'll stop and check and see if you need any help. I'm trying to think of the name of that movie that War Room. War Room.
Powerful.
Very powerful. How the man, even the one that wanted to press charges and everything, he broke down. He still forgave him. Stopped and changed his tire. Didn't say a word, but you see the guilt they put on it. Even the forgiveness, it doesn't stop you from helping a person, but it doesn't stop you also from making a stand. Sometimes we think, well, I can't make a stand, or I can't be firm, or whatsoever, because I forgive them. No, you can be firm. I mean, Christ forgave all those Pharisees and all that was selling stuff in the church, but he showed up to them out. He made it through them all out of the temple. He's like, y'all get out, and don't you come back in here. All right, but he forgave them. Made a stand. So I just kind of wanted to make that.
That's good, Jeff. That's good.
And
that's a good piggyback.
And in the state that we're in right now, being that we really don't have true freedom. The only freedom let me before I go there. The only freedom we really have is only one, and that's the freedom of choice.
Thank you.
That's the freedom. The freedom of choice. You were kind of saying it earlier, but the only freedom we really have is the freedom of choice, which is called free will.
Right.
And I go back to clergy and people of the cloak and in the religious leaders. We're really teaching people the wrong thing in this turmoil world that we're in. One thing, we're not really preparing people to really get the grip on that the world is going to get worse. That's number one. Right. It's going to get worse. All right. Just keep thanking God. If it doesn't come down your street, your neighborhood, your city, just keep thanking God. But if it does, to come to your area or in your environment or into the area of the realm of your life, just like Job, right? All right, just like Job, all right. Just know, here's the thing we should be doing to help people prepare for what is prophesied in the truth, okay? In the truth, is that to be prepared that is going to come.
Yeah.
All right, you don't know when.
Mhm.
You just hope that hopefully you'll live your life and you'll pass.
Yeah.
But your life will end before it does.
Get
Because
to
it's going to say it is going to come to all areas and everywhere. Some point or another. That's a prophecy.
Right. Yeah.
That's promise.
That's a promise. That's a promise. That's a promise
That's promise.
for the sign of the second coming.
Yeah.
Y'all need to get into Revelation. Really understand that.
Yeah.
Okay. And to be prepared for what God's will, for what God does promise, though. The only promise God does make is not about this world, but about the second world, that He promises that the second world to be pure,
Yes.
to be
Yes.
without,
Yes.
be just, to be
Uh-huh.
without all this evil, without all
Right.
this turmoil
Right.
and all that. Because we really do pray to God the wrong prayer. We're praying to God to make this world better.
Yeah.
And hear what I say?
Yeah.
Right.
More so than to make self
Self
better.
Uh-huh.
Okay?
That's
Because
good.
the prayer
Right.
is really to make self
Self
better,
better. That's
so
right.
self can be prepared
Uh-huh.
for the second
Second
world,
world.
which is the world that God promises will be better. Okay? All right? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just
That's
saying.
right. That's
I'm
right.
just I'm
Yeah.
just saying.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
Because the real truth about freedom is that you only have the freedom of choice, which is free will.
Right.
God is not going to make you do anything. If He does, He's taking away your freedom,
Right.
and He's
Right.
oppressed
Oppressed
you,
you, yeah.
oppressed you into doing something, and so it's your choice. And when we say God changed, it's not so much that God made the person change. It's that, and I said this, I think in the prior show, but if you haven't heard this, folks, here, if you're listening, listen to this example. Okay, you have a bunch of money, and you can't manage that money. You keep trying, but you can't manage it. You keep messing it up. You keep blowing it. You get mad with yourself because you're blowing it. You can't handle it. There's a CPA who is trained, professional, know all the ins and outs, know everything that can be done, where it can take a little bit of your money and make it grow. Can work it. He just sitting there, or they just sitting there, just looking at you, saying, "Man, would they just give me that money? I make that money work for them. I won't even charge them. I just give me that money. But he ain't gonna come and say, "Man, you messing it. I'll snatch him or give me that money." He ain't gonna do that. They ain't gonna do that.
No.
They're gonna wait. They waiting. You already got the number. He done handed you a card.
Yeah.
Done handed you a card.
Yeah.
You keep looking at it every now and then. You even got it stuck up on the refrigerator.
Right, yeah.
Every now and then, every time you go to the refrigerator, you
It's
see
a-
the card, but
yes.
you just don't even look at it. Keep on messing up your money, and he's just waiting for you to hand over the money. Once you hand over the money, then he gonna tell you, now once you hand it over, I'm gonna manage it, and I'm gonna make it work for you. I'm gonna prosper it for you. I'm gonna make you richer and fuller and everything. And but when I finish with it, you won't even believe the miracle that I've done with your money, with your money, your money, with your money. Because he's like, "Man, I just get turned on by making folk rich." It's like a fascination, this CPA. Now, like I said, but that's until you decide you're gonna hand it over. Working with God the same way. God don't change, ain't gonna make nobody change.
Yes.
But until you have invited God to take over your life, okay, and manage your life, and implant the right decisions in you, because you remember the CPA way is to say, the way I handle this money ain't the way you handle the money. So God said, My ways are not your
Your
ways.
ways, right.
And my thoughts are not your thoughts, right?
Yeah,
that's right.
So, I'm going to handle it in a different way than you would. I'm going to handle you in a different way. So, and we be praying, God, make the government do this. Make this person get right. Make the community. God ain't going to make nobody do nothing.
Right.
Y'all got to understand
That's
this.
right.
You
Yeah.
got to understand this, all right?
Right.
Because
Yes.
we sometimes pray the wrong prayers.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
God can put a lot of stumbling blocks, and
Yes.
hopefully that might wake up. But God is not going to make nobody, no government do nothing, no person do nothing, no community do nothing. The community has to come into self-will or the freedom of choice to come together.
Yes.
The government has to use their freedom to self-will and freedom of choice to come together. But it's very clear, prophecy says that it's not going to happen.
They're not.
And it hasn't happened since Cain and Abel. We're going to be sitting till Christ come back. I'm just telling it like it is. I'm not saying we don't stop praying for it, but do know, either we believe what the word says or we don't. And that's just hard truth. That's just hard truth. It sounds hard. It sounds crucial. It sounds like I might sound like I'm an unbeliever, but I'm not an unbeliever.
No.
It's in the word. I mean, that's what it says. It's also said that we shall suffer if we go ahead and suffer like Christ. We'll be raised up like Christ. I mean, look at Job.
Yeah.
Look at Job. All right. I mean, you ain't got to be doing nothing to be crucified, to be challenged, to be oppressed, to be taken advantage of, to be beaten down, to have stuff taken away, even to your life being taken away. But what Scripture says is that for us to be prepared for, that if in the event, if we wind up being like Job, if in the event that we are ready and prepared to move into the second world, all right, because that where it will take place, not here on earth. All right, anybody got anything else to say?
I got one last closing remark, and this is to anyone they don't believe in God, and then they say on top of it that there's no freedom in the world. Well, to say that you don't believe in God, number one, you acknowledge there is a God. And then to say you don't have freedom, you've just been given the freedom to believe that there's not a God. So freedom does exist, and God does exist to the atheist who's saying, I don't believe in God. How can you believe in something that you're saying doesn't exist?
Yeah.
Because that's your choice.
That's your choice. But and I love you, and I'll never disclaim you or judge you because you saying you don't believe in God. What I will do is I pray that one day that unwilling spirit that's on you, that your freedom to choose to allow it to become willing to accept our God, Jehovah God, as your only true God, then you'll really understand that you do truly have freedom. And that's all I have.
And my final point for this evening is that listeners realize that you do, I mean, it's been expressed on the show tonight, that you do have the freedom to choose. You do have the freedom of choice. And you can choose your choices, but you cannot choose the consequences of your choices, good or bad.
Well said.
Good or bad.
Well said.
Right. You can choose your.
Yeah.
Well said. Well said.
It is.
All right, y'all. Well, I guess with this freedom of choice, we're going to choose to end this show.
Yes.
We have the freedom and the right to choose to end this show. All right, y'all. We're going to get on out of here.
Bye-bye.
We thank y'all for
See you
listening.
later.
All right, join us on our next show. All right.
Thanks, everyone.
change.